The elements in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Mike, good morning. Good to see you. We have a big heads up. Interstate 10 shut down around Louisiana in Baton Rouge.
Yes, and I can show you video. I got on the I-10 interstate downtown. I think they missed this on-ramp because all the other ones have been blocked, but I didn't know that at the time. This is about an hour ago, and look at my drive on I-10. No vehicles, snow covered, because these elevated surfaces, again, they ice up and get covered by snow first because the cold air surrounds them. As you can see, it's all white. Everything's white. Now, you get down on the surface streets, like where I'm right now, you can see that it's not all covered yet. It is starting to slush up here. Our temperature, by the way, went from 35 down to 27 in a matter of about an hour or so once the precipitation started falling. Remember, it was very dry air, or dew points, which measures the moisture in the atmosphere. We're in the single numbers yesterday. It was like 41/5. Humidity was 25%. So it cooled down to 27. Whether we get up to freezing today remains to be seen. I would bet against it. We will have daylight shortly. That will help some in the melting process, but you get a sense of the snow coming down. Now, this is light snow, but for Baton Rouge or anywhere in Louisiana, this is highly unusual. Our visibility at the airport's about 2 miles. Remember, moderate snow visibility, 3/8 to 5/8 of a mile, roughly a half a mile. Below 3/8 is what we call heavy snow, or on the METAR, the observation, we love to say S+. We may get some S+. There is a meso out from the Storm Prediction Center, not for tornadoes or severe weather, but for the risk of heavy snow, a 1/2 inch to 1 inch in hour bands. And almost unbelievable, my phone goes off and we got a blizzard warning in Louisiana for 5 parishes. It includes Lafayette, Lake Charles, where it's been snowing for about 3 or 4 hours, and over to Beaumont, Port Arthur, a couple of counties along the upper Texas Gulf Coast. That is just crazy. So we've got strong winds. By the way, I found an observation. This is pretty heavy stuff here. Talk about weather weenie mode. There is a observation off the coast from Galveston, and there are 45 knots gusting to 50 knots. That's 52 miles an hour gusting to about 58 miles an hour. That's tropical storm force, sustained winds with this storm in the Gulf of Mexico. So we've got quite a storm out there wrapping up because we're farther north and east from the center. They did not include Baton Rouge and New Orleans in the blizzard warning. But we'll get winds gusting 20 to 25 miles an hour, guys, and it will be quite the day here. We'll be here all day to show it to you. The snow should wrap up mid to late afternoon. We're expecting upwards of 4 to 6 inches. Tomorrow morning, big refreeze, 11 degrees, the coldest in 35 years, since 1989, late 1989. Britta?
Wow.
Man.
I got to tell you, I mean, I've been a Gulf Coast resident for 8 years when I add it all up, and my mind is blown. Like, literally, my chin is just dropping looking at these images. I did want to ask you, let's talk more about that flash freeze setup, Mike, because that's a concern. You know, afternoon temperatures and even just sunlight helping you out, melting all of this. But our overnight lows do stay cold, and that's something that we don't encounter too often across the Gulf Coast. The idea that folks are going to have an afternoon, they're like, oh, we're out of it, we're fine. And then all of a sudden they're going to wake up and they're going to realize they still can't drive.
Yeah, tomorrow morning, forget about it. I'm sure everything, I should check. I bet schools have already been canceled for tomorrow. I would assume that'll happen. But yes, we may get to freezing, but it's not going to be much of any melting. Whatever does, again, once we get to about 5 o'clock, if it's 33, it'll go down quick. Skies clear overnight, and with light winds and clear skies and a snowpack, that's the perfect prescription for your for your coldest temperatures. And the one thing about the wind, it will die off overnight. So although we're going down to 11 degrees, the wind chills are going to be maybe a few degrees below that at sunrise tomorrow. So we're not going to have a howling wind all night, which will push the wind chills below 0. But wind chills 5, 6, 7, not out of the question. And certainly a rude day here in Baton Rouge where the average high is 62. And we're going to be maybe up to 32, which, by the way, here's another factoid. That's today's record low maximum temperature. Wow. If we get to 32, we tie it.
Man, well, this is a day people are going to remember for generations to come, and we'll check in with you throughout the day. Fox Weather storm specialist Mike Seidel, thanks so much, my friend.
Seidel is joining us out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Mike, you were there yesterday. Ahead of all of this, we saw the temperatures really plummet, that Arctic blast. And hey, not too far from you, if we go west, if we were to go west on I-10, which is shut down at the current moment, but if we were to go west into Lafayette, Mike, we have a blizzard warning, the first ever for the state of Louisiana.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. That popped on my phone, and I just about do a spit take while I was brushing my teeth this morning. I mean, my phone went off. What? Blizzard warning? What? It's true. So we got Lake Charles, we got Jennings, Lafayette, Cameron parishes, 6 parishes, and then a couple of counties in Texas, including Beaumont, Port Arthur. The highest snowfall total reported so far is in a town called, Jennings, I believe. Anyway, it's midway between Houston and Beaumont, Port Arthur. They've had 3 inches so far. But again, it's early in the morning. It's going to snow here till at least mid-afternoon. Light snow right now, but it is sticking in many areas, especially, we'll show you this next shot, in these areas that aren't getting any daylight. But the temperature is 27 as of 7 a.m. Central. Wind chill's not bad, running about 20 degrees. We don't have that much wind to speak of. But I want to talk about I-10. Here in Baton Rouge, everything's blocked off. I did get on I-10 this morning. I must have found the only ramp that wasn't blocked off by a barrier or a police car, and this is what I found. No traffic. Notice the entire highway is snow covered. This was about 4:45 local time. It had only been snowing maybe for 30 minutes or so. But this is the example. Elevated surfaces, bridges where the cold air surrounds the road or the overpass or the bridge right away. And temperatures, by the way, went from 35 down to 27 literally within minutes once it started precipitating the evaporative cooling from the very dry air. So that's I-10, closed here, closed in New Orleans. And we gave you a heads up yesterday that anywhere between Houston and Tallahassee, I-10 was probably going to be not navigable. There may be sections that are open right now off to our to the east of New Orleans where it's not snowing yet, but again, it's touch and go, and I've even seen some big rigs using surface streets here in Baton Rouge because they need to get their load somewhere. Back here, the concern is what happens once the snow ends. We're looking at about 3 to 5 inches of snowfall, maybe some higher totals. It's more of a banding, clumpy feature on the radar. It's not a solid shield of snow. It comes and goes as far as intensity goes. But then tonight, skies clear, winds drop off, so the wind chill will not be a big factor, but it's going to be really cold tomorrow morning. The record tomorrow morning, Marissa, is 19. We're going to slam that one right off the record books. We're forecasting 11. Anything below 14 is the coldest temperature since 1989. So a very cold morning. So whatever is out here, whatever is wet and slushy, will refreeze tomorrow morning. I think tomorrow morning and most of tomorrow is going to be another no-go day for travel. Although tomorrow afternoon with sunshine, we should get at least 4 or 5 degrees above freezing, and that will again help the sunny side of the street. Later in the week, temperatures push 50, and by Sunday, they'll be up around 70 here in Baton Rouge. Remember, last Saturday, just a few days ago, it was 78. So up and down, but this is brutally cold by Louisiana standards, and a blizzard warning is just crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Or as John McEnroe used to say, you can't be serious. That's how I felt this morning when I saw that.
Yeah, no, likewise. I saw it this morning, and then I got a text from Brandon Kopic, one of our storm trackers that's going to be out in the elements as well, saying, we just got a blizzard warning. It's just odd because it's Louisiana, Lafayette, and into southeast Texas. It's just, again, not something you see all the time. In fact, you've never seen it.
And there's an observation off Galveston, about 20 miles, and they have gusted to 58 miles an hour. Right now, they're running 45 gusts to 52. That's tropical storm force. That's 20 miles off Galveston. So you get an idea of how strong the storm is and what kind of wind you're going to have there from Beaumont over to Lake Charles.
Yeah, and that's where we're going to see some of the more intense banding. So that's where we'll probably get some of the bigger totals. And it is interesting also, Mike, as we leave you to see some maybe the heavier snow falling over the Gulf of Mexico at this time. A wild turn of events south. And again, Stephen in Charleston. Let's go ahead and bring back Fox Weather Storm Tracker Mike Seidel. Mike has been in Baton Rouge since out of the weekend. And Mike, one of the things you pointed out, you know, as we track the snow that is visibly on the ground in Baton Rouge, you also have the cold air, and to be able to get this Arctic air this far down to the Gulf Coast is significant. Coming out of the weekend, as you reported, we were in the upper 70s, and by yesterday, we were dealing with wind chills that made it feel like the teens.
Yes, a big change. And, the offshoot of this cold Arctic air going so far south, it kept the snow out of the I-20 corridor, like 4 years ago when we had all that snow, Shreveport and Monroe and those areas. So that's why Atlanta doesn't get much of anything, because it's all been suppressed to the south and east. I want to show you how much snow we've had. I know you're watching from Buffalo or Minneapolis saying, what's the big deal? The big deal is they haven't had measurable snow here in 7 years. Their average snowfall year is 1 or 2/10 of an inch. That's what they've had divided by 30. That's the 30-year average. So we have about a half an inch. So we've got measurable snow. We're going to end up with 3 to 5 inches. And I want to show you the consistency of this, because it did start snowing at about 34 degrees, but quickly down to 27. So we got the trusty blower, and we'll see what we can do here. See how it blows off? So the bottom is a little wet. Notice that didn't blow away. So that's still there. That's the first hour where it was just above freezing. And then the top part, look at that. That's all powder. Champagne powder in Baton Rouge. Who would have thunk that? That's just, that's nuts. Okay, let's go down the sidewalk here. And I talk about the north side of the street that doesn't get any sun. We're not going to see the sun today, but these areas that don't get direct daylight, notice this. Sidewalks are snow-packed and snow-covered. Nothing is salted. Nothing is treated. The road has slushed up a little bit because we've had some traffic here. So we're getting a little bit of slushiness. And again, with daylight, things will slush up. But once we get past sundown, it all freezes up like a rock, because temperatures tomorrow morning going down to 11 degrees, coldest in over 35 years. There's the mighty Mississippi looking upriver. The visibility has come down. We're still running a good 2.5 miles in light snow. So we haven't gotten even to moderate snow, where that would be about a half an inch an hour. But remember, it's going to snow here until probably about 3 or 4 this afternoon, so we have a long way to go, Marissa. And temperatures, I know we're forecasting up around freezing. I don't think we're going to get there, because it's 27 right now. I don't see any reason for it to warm up to 32 or 33. I could be wrong, but that's my take. But again, it's all about the refreeze tonight, whatever's not frozen already, and then the melting and refreeze on Thursday morning, because tomorrow night into Thursday morning, we're going back down around 20. By the way, schools tomorrow closed again. Local schools, parochial schools, and LSU all thrown in the towel today and tomorrow. Marissa?
Yeah, in the end, they just want to make sure everybody's off the roads, and it's not just schools. It's a lot of the local government offices and several businesses that have decided just to close up shop, because the best rule of thumb is just to stay off the road and stay at home if you can. Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Thanks, Mike. Joining us out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So that was one perspective of Baton Rouge. We'll take it to the ground where you are, Mike. You got snow on the roads. I don't see any cars. You had that video of I-10, and I was thinking, I wonder if DOT is looking at the coverage thinking, how'd that guy get on? Did we not shut that one down last night? Because really, everything is shut down. You can't get from Baton Rouge to Lafayette on I-10. It is closed.
I did not go around any barriers. On my life, there was a ramp there off Government Street, and I took that, and it was open. And in fact, it was about 4:45 this morning here in Baton Rouge. I didn't know that all the other ramps have been shut down, because I hadn't passed any others. But I got up. Here's the video I shot. I just went down one exit, and look at the interstate. This is maybe 45 minutes after it started snowing. It's already covered. That's because the elevated surfaces, they freeze up and things stick faster because the cold air is surrounding the surface, the structure of the object. It's not the ground, which is going to be a little bit warmer, at least for a while. So I went down to the next exit and got off, and then I realized, wow, I may be the last person on I-10 in Baton Rouge until maybe tomorrow afternoon. So you get a sense of why they have everything shut down, because they don't have any, really any significant snow removal or snow melting product here at this latitude on I-10 in Louisiana. So it's shut down there. Also New Orleans. So we told you yesterday, we gave you the heads up. Anything on I-10 between Houston and Tallahassee is going to be troubling today, and a lot of sections are closed. There may be some areas that are open, especially still east of New Orleans, where it hasn't started snowing yet. Back here, you can see what we got. Snow and ice on the roadways. It's 27 degrees. Remember, we have daylight, so we are getting a little bit of radiation through the clouds, so it is slushy here. But once the sun sets tonight, that's it. Everything becomes solid as a rock. We're going down to 11 degrees, coldest low we've seen since 1989, and the record is 19, which actually, if you look at the records yesterday and Thursday, it's a pretty wimpy record. I think the record yesterday was 9. There's the mighty Mississippi. Visibility is coming down a little bit. The airport about 30 minutes ago had moderate snow, half a mile visibility. So that gives you an idea. It comes and goes. Check the radar. You can see we got some heavier snow coming in. It's coming in like waves from the southwest to the northeast off the Gulf of Mexico. And we had that weather observation off Galveston that's gusted nearly 60 miles an hour, about 20 miles offshore this morning, and it's still sustained at over tropical storm force, which is 39 miles an hour. No doubt that's one of the reasons the Weather Service in Lake Charles and those areas issued the blizzard warning for Lake Charles, Lafayette, and Jennings, and over towards Beaumont, Port Arthur. Did find a snowfall report, Marissa, north of Beaumont, Port Arthur. I believe it's Lakeview near Park Forest, about 3 inches. Lake Charles has had 2.2 inches. Here we've had a little over half an inch, but it is sticking, certainly on metal surfaces and cars. Look down the street here. Do you see anything moving? Nope. Virtually everything is closed today. Schools, businesses, you name it, it's closed. And again tomorrow, many schools, I think just about every school is thrown in the towel for tomorrow because of the refreeze tonight and tomorrow morning, Marissa. 11 degrees, that's pretty strong for this time of the year, even in Chicago, let alone here in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I mean, by anybody's standards, it's dangerously cold. And for folks that don't have the proper means to warm their homes, they got to go to these warming shelters and warming centers. But even then, you know, we have a hard time finding salt in areas in the Northeast. I imagine it was very challenging finding it last minute, maybe getting some sand or kitty litter, whatever it is. But the ice is no joke, even once that snow shuts off. The cold is no joke. Just things that you don't typically talk about, Mike, when you're talking about Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But here we are nonetheless. So we'll be checking in with you throughout the morning. We want to go ahead and bring just everybody a different.
The snow, I want to bring in storm specialist and meteorologist Mike Seidel in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Mike, don't know if you've been to Charleston before, this pineapple fountain. It'll be one to watch. Air might be cold enough briefly. I don't know. We'll see if this thing is able to freeze over, but we're not going to see the type of snow that you all have been seeing this morning.
No, not quite, but still, the fact that you got measurable snow where you are is very unusual right there on the coast. Yep. Isle palms, how often do you see flakes of the Isle palms on the palm trees? Back here in Baton Rouge, it's been 7 years since we've had measurable snow, and we've done it already. I've measured over half an inch. I know a lot of you around the country are going, what's the big deal? It's the fact that we're down here near the Gulf Coast. We even have a blizzard warning for 5, 6 parishes in Louisiana. That includes nearby Lafayette, Lake Charles, the Jennings area, also Cameron Parish, over to Beaumont, Port Arthur. Snowfall total so far, south and west of here, have been running 2 to 3 inches, where it started snowing earlier. This is the heaviest snow we've seen here in downtown Baton Rouge. We're right now at about a half-mile visibility, which is moderate snow. That'll put down about a half an inch an hour, especially with the temperature right now, 27 degrees. Their average low is 41, their average high 62. It was 78 on Saturday, and by Sunday it'll be pushing 70 once again. But in the meantime, we're in the throes of this big, powerful Arctic air mass that has dove south, has suppressed the moisture away from 20, away from areas that saw snow, a big storm 4 years ago, like Shreveport. Atlanta's not going to get anything out of this thing. But again, south and east along the Gulf Coast. How about snow on the beaches in Pensacola, the Florida Panhandle? How about Gulf Shores, Alabama? Yes, it's all going to come true today and tonight. We're looking across the river. We can't see it now because of the choo-choo train, but we can't really see across the river now because the visibility has come down with this snowfall intensifying. The key, again, is what happens after sundown. What's going to happen is the snow will end probably between 3 and 5 p.m. today. And then skies will clear tonight. The winds will back off, so the wind chill becomes less of a factor. It's just going to be the fact that the actual temperature without the chill is going to be down in the low teens, which is going to smash the record tomorrow of 19. And the coldest weather we've seen since December of 1989. You may remember that. That was cold everywhere. Florida, Tampa, around Christmas of 85, 89, another cold outbreak. I think Tampa got down into the mid-teens. It was insanely cold. And here, they also got down in the low teens. I think their coldest number was 9. So we get down in the low teens. So anything that's a little slushy like this here on the roadway, this is all going to be a skating rink. There's been no treatment on these city streets. I don't expect any here in Baton Rouge. That's not knocking the city officials, the DOT here. It's just the fact that they don't see this hardly ever. And that doesn't warrant having a big pile of salt and a bunch of plows. I-10 is shut down. We showed you the video earlier. I was able to get on there. There was an open ramp about 4:45 this morning, and it was just snowpacked. I was the only car. I went one exit, got off. That's all closed. The I-10 bridge is closed. So really any travel on 10 between Houston and New Orleans, forget about it today, and we'll see how quickly they can get things open up tomorrow based on the sun coming back out and how fast it warms up tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to see temperatures getting into the mid-30s, maybe the upper 30s. So there you go from Baton Rouge. The snow continues, and it will get to Charleston eventually.
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned that December of 1989, an infamous year in a lot of ways. That Christmas storm with the snow totals in Charleston recorded 8 inches of snow between the 22nd and the 24th back in 1989. And it's really that benchmark for the types of snow that Charleston never gets, but hey, we have gotten before. So to 89, it's one that I've been eyeing up. Not going to compare, but yeah, stay warm out there. Mike Seidel in Baton Rouge, Louisiana this morning for us. Mike, thank you. The temperatures are cold enough here to support a wintry mix, freezing rain, sleet, and snow. Marissa, back in New York, want to bring
specialist Mike Seidel is joining us out of Baton Rouge. So that was one vantage point out of Baton Rouge. We want to take it to the ground where Mike is right now, seeing the wind pick up a little bit. I mean, the wind, the snow, and just the really cold Arctic air that's been hanging out over Louisiana even since yesterday, Mike. There's a lot of punches being thrown at the state.
Yeah, can you believe this picture right now in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, just off I-10? I have never covered snow this far south. This is really amazing. 27 degrees. The wind chill's down in the upper teens. We're getting moderate snow, and we've had about 1.5 inches, so it's adding up. Again, remember, we're in southern Louisiana. We're not up in the Midwest or near Buffalo. This is going to be one of those generational storms. Visibility has dropped considerably. We're down to about a quarter mile. You can see we have some traffic out here. I suspect both of these vehicles are all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, but the wind has really started to whip up the snow here. Temperature 27. I don't think we're going to get to freezing today. That's highly unlikely. Now, we do have some daylight, so that helps the roads a little bit, but these roads have been untreated and not plowed. So whatever comes down is going to stick. You'll get some slushiness as the cars go by, as you can see here. But what they're doing is they're packing down the snow. And at this temperature, it's what I like to call plastic. It's like a translucent ice, and it's very dense. So the more traffic, the more you have. And then it takes longer to melt because of the density. So we have a little bit of help from the daylight today, but tonight is the problem. The snow will end by late afternoon. Tonight we go down to 11 degrees, the coldest they've seen since December of 1989. You may remember that outbreak around Christmas. That was unusual, not only here, but all the way down into Florida. We had temperatures in Tampa in the teens. Tomorrow morning, very icy, snowpack situation. Schools tomorrow closed. I'm sure many businesses will stay closed tomorrow because you're just not going to be able to get around until we get the sun out tomorrow and we get temperatures up above freezing, and anything in the sun will start to get some melting. Hopefully by later tomorrow we can get I-10 reopened, but no guarantee. Thursday will be much better. After a morning refreeze Thursday up to about 50. Out at the airport, the last time I checked, basically everything out of Baton Rouge is canceled. You know, Houston, Hobby, Houston Intercontinental, both airports are shut down today. Everything has been canceled out of there for good reason. So Marissa, just pictures you would never believe you would see in your lifetime, probably this far south, but it's happening. It's sticking, and we're going to end up with at least 3, if not 4 inches. If we get over 3.5 inches, that'll put it in a top 4 snowstorm since the 1800s. So I think we're going to do that because it's going to snow at least another 5 or 6 hours here in Baton Rouge.
I mean, you could argue maybe a once-in-a-lifetime snowstorm, certainly to your point, a generational thing where many people that are waking up to the snow this morning and maybe venturing out into it to a little hill or whatnot to enjoy it have never seen it in their state before, and they may never see it again. To get this sort of setup, and with this very cold air, Mike, one of the things you had mentioned earlier as well, it's also been very dry. So to get some of the snow further off to the north, interesting to see. I know Atlanta is one of the cities that's also looking at that potential for some snow to accumulate on the ground, but Arctic air, some of these dew points have been below zero.
Yeah, the dry air, courtesy of the dry air, we're not going to see any snow or very little snow along I-20, including Birmingham, Jackson, and Atlanta. Really very little snow at all, maybe an hour south of Atlanta. But, boy, this is really saved. Although in Atlanta, because of the winter weather advisory, ahead of that, they did close schools today. But I just don't think there's going to be much falling there because of the dry air. But here, man, talk about the weather extremes we've seen in recent years. Right here, this and the blizzard warning. What else do you need as far as extreme weather here this far south?
Yeah. It is interesting to see snow falling in areas where we had these landfalling tropical systems just this most recent season. It is just wild and of note. And Mike, we're going to be checking back at hey, real quick before I leave you, because we're out of time. What is the farthest south you've ever covered snow like this?
This is the farthest south I've covered snow. I did cover sleet and freezing rain in Austin. Okay. Their latitude's a bit lower, but as far as snow, the number 2 now is I-20 in Monroe. Okay. That's the next interstate up, and that was February 15th, 2021. It was 18 and snowing. Their average high that day was 65. Our average high today is 62. Wow. So we're not going to get, in fact, we may have our coldest high temperature for this date today.
Yeah, the snow and the cold making for a historical day nonetheless. All right, we have Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel out of there in Baton Rouge with the very latest. Let's continue.
Been all morning. Blizzard warnings in effect. Roads conditions have been terrible, even in Texas. Want to bring in storm specialist and meteorologist Mike Seidel once again. Mike, seeing you a couple of times an hour because we just can't get over what we've got going on in Baton Rouge this morning. Wild to see.
This is, as Johnny Carson used to say, this is wild, wacky stuff. Look at this, downtown Baton Rouge, Lafayette Street. We'll zoom down the street and look at the visibility, about a half a mile. So that's moderate snow. It's about a half an inch per hour. And you can see everything is now covered up. Remember, no salt, no plowing, 27 degrees, even with daylight at this intensity, and no traffic. It's just going to keep adding up. And tomorrow morning, it's not going anywhere because tonight we're going down around 10 degrees. So that's why everything is pretty much closed again tomorrow, schools and businesses. I want to show you what kind of snow we have. Now, you would think at this latitude, you can make a snowball, you know, because usually if it snows here, it's wet snow. Wrong, my friend. Look at this. This is powder. Powder in Baton Rouge. You got to be kidding me. Look at this. Yes, luckily we don't have a lot of wind here. We've had some gusts over 20 miles an hour out at the airport about 7 miles north. Again, that's an open area, but you look around downtown and you would never guess this is Louisiana. Why don't we walk over here and Nick will walk down here. We'll show you the mighty Mississippi. Keep an eye on these roadways. Here comes a vehicle. We've seen several vehicles. They're all likely all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. And they're going by, everybody's taking video here today. They're like, we're not going to miss this storm. And we'll look down the street here, right down Florida Street, right down towards the Mississippi, which we can't see right now because of the visibility. Once again, these roads are a mess, and they're not going to change until tomorrow afternoon when we get sunshine on the roadways. But the street, Lafayette, I just showed you, that doesn't get any direct sunshine. So as a result, there's going to be very little melting tomorrow, even with temperatures squeaking up above freezing. The real improvement day will be Thursday. But hoping we can get I-10 reopened by tomorrow afternoon. Just a matter of what they can scrape off the roadways and the ramps and the overpasses and then let the sun do its job after, say, once it comes up tomorrow morning. Clear skies tonight, light wind, Steve, temperatures down around 10 degrees. Coldest temperatures they've seen since December of 1989. And a record, too. The record tomorrow morning is 19. We're going to annihilate that one for sure. And by the way, the high today was at midnight, so we're not going to break the record high minimum temperature, coldest high, because it was above 32 at midnight. But if it was 27 since midnight, we would. 27 right now. Average high is 62. That's 35 degrees below average right now here in Baton Rouge.
The temperature anomaly, we were talking with this blast, Mike, that we would have 30 to 40 degree temperature departures, and seeing that that's realized in Louisiana, we'll be interested to see just how cold maybe some of that fresh snowpack could allow those places to get even colder. Hard to see, but we'll watch it. Mike Seidel there, storm specialist and meteorologist in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Mike, thank you. The
Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel, who's joining us out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And Mike, it is one of those really interesting scenarios where we're going to walk away with more snow in Louisiana and maybe parts of Texas than we've even seen in portions of the Northeast. And if you were to just show me your live look right now with no locator, Baton Rouge would be the last place that I would guess. It looks like you jumped into maybe, I don't know, Buffalo, New York, or maybe some of the south towns of Buffalo, but it's been heavy.
Yep. Not on your dance card, huh, Marissa?
Not on my dance card.
Not even on Nick's dance card, and he's a dancer.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Let's put the stick in the snow. 3 to 3.5. I mean, we're getting an inch an hour right now. This is what we call S+, heavy snow, visibility quarter mile or less. And as I showed you all earlier, it's powder. This is not heavy, wet snow, even at this latitude. You can't even make a snowball. But I know I talked to people last night. They were going to sled wherever they could. They were talking about the berm over on the Mississippi River. That's not much of a sledding hill, but boy, if I had a toboggan right now, Marissa, I would take it right down this hill. I would go right down this hill for you. If I can find something to go down the hill on besides the seat of my pants, we're going to do that here on Fox Weather, because sledding in Baton Rouge is not something you do very often, maybe once every 25 years. Now, they did have 3.5 inches of snow in 2017. That was their last measurable snow. If we get more than 3.5, then we have to go back to the 1800s. So I think we're going to do 3.5. That seems like a slam dunk. So we're going to be a top 4. Whether we get into 1, 2, or 3 remains to be seen. The top snowfall, 6.5 inches. You can see on the radar, we've got at least several more hours of this snow to come in here. One thing you're noticing, there's not a lot of wind here. We're far enough inland, away from the coast, that we're not getting gusts. Every now and then we get a gust, maybe 20 miles an hour. Temperature's holding tight right around 26, 27 degrees. Our forecast of 32 or 33 earlier is not going to verify. We're not going to get that warm today. So little, if any, melting even with daylight. And you probably noticed nothing's been plowed. And I suspect there's not going to be much plowing in the city. They just don't have the equipment here, and nothing's been salted. They did throw down some gravel in some areas for traction, but look at all this, Marissa, and it's going nowhere, because tonight we're going down to in the low teens, the coldest weather in over 35 years. So most everything they've decided to close tomorrow. In fact, they decided that yesterday and the day before. Schools and businesses, LSU is closed again tomorrow. Thursday, we have a better chance of getting some melting as we head up into the upper 40s. But tomorrow we'll not get to 40, even though we'll have sunshine. That's going to help. And it remains to be seen how quickly they can get Interstate 10 reopened on this area around Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and anywhere from East Texas all the way into Mobile, because some of these areas, as we saw around Beaumont and Port Arthur, they've already had nearly 6 inches of snow. Marissa?
So, Mike, we're looking at some of the top snow totals out of Louisiana, and me, Matthew Blue, meteorologist behind the scene, are just in awe at these totals. Hayes, Louisiana, which is not too far from Lake Charles. It is in that blizzard warning, 7 inches of snow. And then you head into Kaplan, 7 inches of snow there as well. And Matthew measured it out, Mike, 25 miles away from the Gulf of Mexico, you have 7 inches of dry, powdery snow. You compare it to a place like New York City. I'm using it as an example, but it's in the Northeast. New York City has only had 5.8 inches of snow. A lot of that was a wet, sloppy snow, and it didn't stick around. I mean, overperforming. This is wild.
And Yeah, and if you think about this, I think this is a stat that's going to verify, because I had this happen in Rochester, Minnesota, back in May about 15 years ago, where they had about a foot of snow, and the stat was if you added up every flake that fell in May, the whole month of May, back to the 1800s, you wouldn't get a foot of snow. And I bet these places that have 6 or 7 inches of snow, if they have a climate record, they could add up all the snow they've seen any day of the year since 1800s or the early 1900s, and they won't get 6 or 7 inches of snow. So there you go. Just amazing amount of snowfall for this latitude. And these pictures, here's some folks walking down the street. They're not cross-country skiing, but they're just out here enjoying the powder here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The only other time I've been here is when the dew point's about 80 and you can hardly breathe.
Give it time.
It's ghastly hot during the tropics, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we do find you back in Baton Rouge, people are probably thinking, don't come back, because if you do, it means we're watching a tropical system.
You guys having fun? Are you guys having fun out there?
Oh, they're throwing snowballs. Oh, look at those snowballs falling apart.
Are you having fun? Yeah. Have you ever seen this much snow before? No? What do you think? Well, you're wearing what? Open-toed flip-flops. Your feet must be cold. My gosh, I can't even imagine, but they're having fun. Even with the powder, you know what? This is what you do down here. When you have something that you don't have very often, you got to take advantage of it. They may never see this amount of snow again in their lifetime.
Yeah, I don't blame them for getting out
honestly.
in their flip-flops and their Crocs, no winter coat. Enjoy it while you can, because you may never see it again. It is truly something, a little bit of magic, much of a novelty, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana, you are making history this morning. Thanks, Mike. We'll be checking in with you.
I don't know if we can say overperformed, because the forecast, I feel like, was putting a lot of snow right along that I-10 corridor. It looks like it's still coming down pretty good there, isn't it, Mike?
Yes, we were S+ heavy snow for a while. I think we've gone back to moderate. I think visibility now is up above a quarter mile, about a half a mile, but it's very powdery snow. Our temperature, get this, 26 degrees. The average high is 62. By the way, if that 26 held, we'd break the daily record for the coldest high temperature, but it was above that number, 32 at midnight. Once it started snowing this morning before sunrise, it went from 35 down to 27 very, very quickly with the evaporative cooling. We've been watching the Mississippi River come and go as far as visibility. Right now, you can barely see it, and you can't see across it. So definitely our visibility is about a half a mile or maybe 3/4. Look at all the snow out here, 4 inches and counting, Ari. So right now, unofficially, but we've had other reports. I talked to the Weather Service down in Seidel, Louisiana. They've had other reports of 4 and 4.5 inches here in Baton Rouge. So this is the snowiest calendar day on record, get this, since 1914. I wasn't around for that. You may have thought that, Ari, but I wasn't. 1914. And now we're looking at the top number of 6.5 inches back in 1895. That was a huge storm in this part of Louisiana. In fact, it was a 2-day storm. They had 1.5 feet of snow. They had 6 one day and 6.5 the other day. Will we get to 6.5? I don't know. We'll see. It's going to snow here for at least a few more hours, but definitely a top 4 snowmaker this time around. Just the fact that the temperatures are so cold, we're not getting really any melting despite some daylight. And you probably noticed nothing's plowed, nothing's salted. I-10 is closed for that reason, and nothing's going anywhere. Just about everything has shut down again for Wednesday. Now, tomorrow we will get sunshine. The way you clear snow here is melting because of the sun and warmer temperatures. Tomorrow we'll get above freezing, but not much above freezing. And again, it's only in the direct sunlight that we'd have help. Now, if they were able to scrape this road and we got a full day of sun tomorrow, we'd be, cooking with gas, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Thursday is going to be a big improvement day as we head into the mid to upper 40s, Ari, with plenty of sunshine. So quite the snowstorm, just incredible over the past few hours, snowing at 1 inch an hour, heavy snowfall, and not far west of here we had thunder snow. So very unstable. The only thing we're not getting, and we don't really want that, is a lot of wind like they've seen closer to the Gulf Coast down towards Lake Charles and those areas. Our peak gusts have been running about 20 miles an hour. But when it does blow, it picks it up because this is pure powder here in Baton Rouge.
Did it start off a little bit more wet, like with some of the big wet heavy snowflakes, and then change over to powder as more cold air filtered in? How did it progress?
It started out wet with temperatures of 34 and very quickly became powdery.
Gotcha.
The evaporative cooling took over. Remember yesterday our temperature was 41, our dew point was like 5. So the dew point depression narrowed and we went from 34, 35 down to 27 as the dew point came up from the single numbers into the low 20s. That's how it progressed this morning. But we've been at 27 since sunrise. And the past few hours have been remarkable for the pictures we've been putting out here in this part of the country. Just highly unusual, really a generational snowstorm. I told a couple of teenagers they've never seen snow like this before. And I told them, well, enjoy it. You may never see it again in your lifetime if you stay here in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
And we got a dog walker out here. Now, let me see if I can, what I want to ask her, we talked to some dog walkers earlier, Ari. It was their third time seeing snow. I want to find out if this dog, stay right here, I want to see if this dog has seen snow before. How do you like the snow?
I'm loving it.
Has your dog seen snow before?
No, this is her first time.
And what's your name?
Adriana.
I'm Mike Seidel in Fox Weather. So what's your dog's name?
Remy. Remy with an I.
Remy?
Remy.
Remy. Hello, Remy. Do you like snow? Oh my gosh. What do you think?
I think she's liking it.
Doesn't mind the cold weather?
She's usually definitely a lay in the sun type of girl.
I'm a lay in the sun type of guy.
Yeah, myself too.
Yeah, okay.
I'm an island girl. But
Remy, what do you think about this? Yeah, keep her.
I'm surprised she's not like shaking right now.
Keep her warm.
Excited.
Well, nice chatting with you.
Nice chatting with you.
Yeah, enjoy this. How long have you lived in Baton Rouge?
I'm from New Orleans.
Oh,
So
have you ever seen snow like this in your life?
No.
I mean, locally?
No.
No. Do you want to see it again?
Not even like outside locally.
Do you want to see it? I mean, you're enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it. This is not something I want like all the time,
No.
you know, because I'm not made for this. But as long as you have like, I guess the proper like wear.
You've got a great
you're
great
Oh,
coat.
yeah, my best friend.
And you don't have to go anywhere.
I know, right? I'm right here. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
if you
love
don't have to
how
go
it's very
anywhere,
beautiful.
snow is not bad. If you have
Yeah.
to go somewhere, yeah, it's not too great. Especially here where, have you seen any snow plows this morning?
No.
No. Do you think there
but
are any?
I've been seeing people still driving.
Well, most of the people coming by, now that's not all-wheel drive. I've not seen anybody get stuck yet, which is a testament to just about everybody staying home, just about everybody seeing
Everybody
driving
should
as an
stay home,
all-wheel drive.
yeah.
Yeah, because this
Especially
is,
since we're not used to it down here.
yes, I'll see that's front-wheel drive, and he or she is getting through, but they're taking it nice and slow,
Yeah.
and we don't have any big berms. But coming up these hills, oops.
I know. It's very dangerous.
Okay, well, enjoy your walk with
Thank
Remy.
you.
See you, Remy. Bye-bye, buddy. Bye-bye. Oh, shake it off. Okay there, Ari.
Fantastic.
We got a dog that's seen his first snow and seems to like the snowfall. Yeah, there you go.
What else can you ask for? I'm curious if if she pre-planned that jacket for Remy, or if she already had it. That would be kind of an interesting thing to have in Baton Rouge.
Probably already had it because, they had mornings here in the 30s and even below freezing. They've had 5 or 6 mornings below freezing in January. So it's not that unusual to have temperatures down to freezing.
Yeah.
When you get down to 10 or 11 tomorrow morning and break the record by 7 or 8 degrees, that's saying something.
That's right, and it's going to get dangerous too with that refreeze. Mike, thank you so much. We are going to be checking back in with you multiple more times over the next couple of hours. So enjoy the snow, maybe get warm for a minute. We'll be right back with you in just a bit. In the meantime, we got to take a quick little break here. You guys haven't got quite 8 inches in Baton Rouge. This is Fox Weather's Mike Seidel. He's been in Baton Rouge all day. Some of these numbers coming out of Lafayette, isn't that something, Mike? 10.5? Whew.
Yeah, as I said earlier, Ari, I do believe if you added up every flake that's fallen in Lafayette since they started keeping records, that you wouldn't get 10.5 inches of snow. That's just my gut. I checked the LFT on the ACES site, and they don't have, there's nothing there. I'd have to go to the Climo site out of, I guess, NWS Lake Charles and find out what their total snowfall is since the 1800s or the early 1900s and see if that adds up to 10.5. Well, I can tell you, in 1895, that was the big one. Here in Baton Rouge, they had just over a foot. So I guess I'm wrong with that. But since 1900, I bet they haven't seen a total of 12 or 13 inches of snow. Hey, by the way, I've been trying to find something to go down the hill on, and I found this. I don't think it's going to work. I'm gonna try it here. Nope. It's just not, too much friction. I'm not giving up yet, Ari. And neither is the storm. It's still snowing here, although it's lightened up. We can now see across the Mississippi. Our visibility now up about 1.5 miles. 4.5 to 5 inches here in downtown Baton Rouge. Our temperature is 26 degrees. The average high today is 62. By the way, by Sunday, we'll be back in the upper 60s. It was just several days ago, Saturday, we were at 78, so what a turnaround. The real issue is no plows, nothing's been cleared, nothing's been salted, so we're gonna have to wait for melting. And tomorrow, we will get the sun. It will eventually get above freezing for a few hours, but we're not gonna get a whole lot of melting, especially where these cars have packed down the snow, and now you just got very dense, like 1 inch or so of just very dense ice. And that takes longer to melt than just plain old snow on a sidewalk. Hopefully we'll get I-10 reopened later tomorrow, but if not, certainly Thursday. Ari, as temperatures get into the upper 40s. Everything, again, is closed tomorrow because of this. Because tomorrow morning it's going to look the same, except the sun's going to come out. And as you mentioned earlier, temperatures down in the low teens, annihilating the record tomorrow of 19 and the coldest weather we've seen here since 1989, since December of 1989. So, Ari, I wish I could find something to go down the hill on, but, you know, there's just nothing around. It's Louisiana. I was trying to find maybe a baking sheet.
That's what you need.
I remember growing up, we used cafeteria trays.
That's what I was going to say. That's even better
right
than
now,
a baking
but I'm working
sheet.
on it.
We did that at the University of Wisconsin all the time. We'd take the cafeteria trays and slide down Bascom Hill in Madison. That's what I was going to suggest.
And by the
That'll
way,
help you out.
My phone call drops, Ari, so I can't hear you. So I'll just throw it back to you and wrap it up.
All right, perfect. Mike, thanks a lot for the report. We'll check back in just a little bit. That was Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Fox Weather's Mike Seidel, he's been having a morning in Baton Rouge, which is a winter wonderland right now. I mentioned, you know, Lafayette starting to come in with some snow totals around 7 or 8 inches, and it's still going to snow for a little while longer. Baton Rouge, another spot where I don't know if we can say overperformed because the forecast, I feel like, was putting a lot of snow right along that I-10 corridor. It looks like it's still coming down pretty good there, isn't it, Mike?
Yes, we were S+ heavy snow for a while. I think we've gone back to moderate. I think visibility now is up above a quarter mile, about a half a mile, but it's very powdery snow. Our temperature, get this, 26 degrees. The average high is 62. By the way, if that 26 held, we'd break the daily record for the coldest high temperature, but it was above that number, 32 at midnight. Once it started snowing this morning before sunrise, it went from 35 down to 27 very, very quickly with the evaporative cooling. We've been watching the Mississippi River come and go as far as visibility. Right now, you can barely see it, and you can't see across it. So definitely our visibility is about a half a mile or maybe 3/4. Look at all the snow out here, 4 inches and counting, Ari. So right now, unofficially, but we've had other reports. I talked to the Weather Service down in Seidel, Louisiana. They've had other reports of 4 to 4.5 inches here in Baton Rouge. So this is the snowiest calendar day on record. Get this, since 1914. I wasn't around for that. You may have thought that, Ari, but I wasn't. 1914. And now we're looking at the top number of 6.5 inches back in 1895. That was a huge storm in this part of Louisiana. In fact, it was a 2-day storm. They had 1.5 feet of snow. They had 6 one day and 6.5 the other day. Will we get to 6.5? I don't know. We'll see. It's going to snow here for at least a few more hours, but definitely a top 4 snowmaker this time around. Just the fact that the temperatures are so cold, we're not getting really any melting despite some daylight. And you probably noticed nothing's plowed, nothing's salted. I-10 is closed for that reason, and nothing's going anywhere. Just about everything has shut down again for Wednesday. Now, tomorrow we will get sunshine. The way you clear snow here is melting because of the sun and warmer temperatures. Tomorrow we'll get above freezing, but not much above freezing. And again, it's only in the direct sunlight that we'd have help. Now, if they were able to scrape this road and we got a full day of sun tomorrow, we'd be, cooking with gas, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Thursday is going to be a big improvement day as we head into the mid to upper 40s, Ari, with plenty of sunshine. So quite the snowstorm, just incredible over the past few hours, snowing at 1 inch an hour, heavy snowfall, and not far west of here we had thunder snow. So very unstable. The only thing we're not getting, and we don't really want that, is a lot of wind like they've seen closer to the Gulf Coast down towards Lake Charles and those areas. Our peak gusts have been running about 20 miles an hour. But when it does blow, it picks it up because this is pure powder here in Baton Rouge.
Did it start off a little bit more wet, like with some of the big wet heavy snowflakes, and then change over to powder as more cold air filtered in? How did it progress?
It started out wet with temperatures of 34 and very quickly became powdery. Gotcha. The evaporative cooling took over. Remember yesterday our temperature was 41, our dew point was like 5. So the dew point depression narrowed, and we went from 34, 35 down to 27 as the dew point came up from the single numbers into the low 20s. That's how it progressed this morning. But we've been at 27 since sunrise, and the past few hours have been remarkable for the pictures we've been putting out here in this part of the country. Just highly unusual, really a generational snowstorm. I told a couple of teenagers they've never seen snow like this before, and I told them, well, enjoy it. You may never see it again in your lifetime if you stay here in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
And we got a dog walker out here. Now let me see if I can. What I want to ask her. We talked to some dog walkers earlier, Ari. It was their third time seeing snow. I want to find out if this dog. Stay right here. I want to see if this dog has seen snow before. How do you like the snow?
I'm loving it.
Has your dog seen snow before?
No, this is her first time.
And what's your name?
Adriana.
I'm Mike Seidel in Fox Weather. So what's your dog's name?
Remy. Remy with an I.
Remy?
Remy.
Remy. Hello, Remy. Do you like snow? Oh my gosh. What do you think?
I think she's liking it.
Doesn't mind the cold weather?
She's usually definitely a lay in the sun type of girl.
I'm a lay in the sun type of guy.
Yeah, myself too.
Yeah, okay.
An island girl.
Remy, what do you think about this? Yeah, keep her.
I'm surprised she's not like shaking right now.
Keep her warm.
Excited.
Well, nice chatting with you.
Nice chatting with you.
Yeah, enjoy this. How long have you lived in Baton Rouge?
I'm from New Orleans.
Oh,
so
have you ever seen snow like this in your life?
No.
I mean, locally?
No.
No. Do you want to see it again?
Not even like outside locally.
Do you want to see it? I mean, you're enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it. This is not something I want like all the time,
No.
you know, because I'm not made for this, but as long as you have like, I guess the proper like wear.
You've got a great coat.
Yeah, my best friend.
And you don't have to go anywhere.
I know, right. I'm right here. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have to go anywhere, snow is not bad. If you have to go somewhere, yeah, it's not too great, especially here where, have you seen any snowplows this morning?
No.
No. Do you think there are any?
I've been seeing people still driving.
Well, most of the people coming by, now that's not all-wheel drive. I've not seen anybody get stuck yet, which is a testament to just about everybody staying home, just about everybody seeing driving as an all-wheel drive. Yeah, because
especially since we're not used to it down here.
Yes, I'll see that. That's front-wheel drive, and he or she is getting through, but they're taking it nice and slow, and we don't have any big berms. But coming up these hills, oops.
I know, it's very dangerous.
Okay, well, enjoy your walk with Remy.
You.
See you, Remy. Bye-bye, buddy. Bye-bye. Oh, shake it off. Okay there, Ari.
Fantastic.
We got a dog that's seen its first snow and seems to like the snowfall. Yeah, there you go.
What else can you ask for? I'm curious if if she pre-planned that jacket for Remy, or if she already had it. That'd be kind of an interesting thing to have in Baton Rouge.
Probably already had it because they had mornings here in the 30s and even below freezing. They've had 5 or 6 mornings below freezing in January, so it's not that unusual to have temperatures down to freezing.
Yeah.
When you get down to 10 or 11 tomorrow morning and break the record by 7 or 8 degrees, that's saying something.
That's right, and it's going to get dangerous too with that refreeze. Mike, thank you so much. Very significant storm that's still in progress right now. I do want to go back out to Mike Seidel. He's a little bit northwest of New Orleans in another town you may have heard of called Baton Rouge. You got to talk to the dog last time. That dog had never seen snow before, but he was at least bundled up. What do we got right now? It looks like it's still coming down, but honestly, looking at New Orleans, it looks like it's a little bit heavier out there.
Yeah, it lightened up for about an hour. Now it's picked back up. We're still light snow. Visibility looks like about 2.5 miles. We've had 4 to 4.5 inches unofficially. We'll get the official total later today or tonight when they put them out from the NWS in Seidel, Louisiana, which services the Baton Rouge and Orleans area. And I can pretty much guarantee you this is the biggest daily snowfall they've seen in Baton Rouge since 1914. And look at the road here where we've had traffic. Yep, it's all packed down. It's just solid ice. It's a little slush there because we have daylight, but boy, that's going to go away quickly after about 4:35 when it starts to get dark. Tomorrow morning down to 11 degrees, coldest since 1989. And again, tomorrow, just about everything's closed. Schools, businesses, because you're not going to be able to get anywhere. No plows, no salt here. And so how do you get rid of it? You have to wait for it to melt. Tomorrow afternoon, we will squeak above freezing with sunshine, so we'll have some melting. But really, it's not going to be until Thursday. Hopefully, they can get I-10 reopened later tomorrow. If not, it'll be Thursday for sure, with temperatures well into the 40s. Let's bring in Taylor Sterling, who's been in New Orleans Baton Rouge for 8 years. And you've got Copper out here.
Yes.
And Copper is seeing his first snowstorm.
Yes, very first snow. He's not really sure what to make of it so far, but throughout the day he's been getting more acclimated, and I think now he's kind of starting to enjoy it.
Well, Copper doesn't mind the cold so much, or is, because I know it does, you have many mornings here down around freezing.
Yep. No, he doesn't mind the cold. He's got a nice thick coat.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice coat. Come here, Copper. Keep me warm, buddy. What do you think?
He enjoys the cool.
Come here, buddy. Oh, this is a good doggy. I miss my doggies. I'm sorry I don't have a dog treat for you. Shaking off the snow.
All right.
Now, when's the last time you saw snow here?
Last time here was I think it was 2017,
right.
2018, right? And it was fun. I was in college then, so we had a good time with it during finals.
LSU?
At LSU, yep.
Anything like this?
No, nothing like this. I mean, the snow here has been falling all morning. It's coming down super fast, flying all around, and it's really layering on here in downtown.
Have you been driving around at all or just walking?
No, just walking, no driving here.
Okay. And where do you work?
I work at Emergent Method right down here on the corner.
So you can walk to work?
Yes, I can, but work's closed today.
What about tomorrow? Have you heard about tomorrow? Because schools are closed again tomorrow.
Yeah, not
a lot
sure
of businesses.
Tomorrow. We're a game time decision, I think.
Okay, gotcha. Well, Taylor, thanks for joining us on Fox Weather.
Yes,
Copper,
thank you.
And guess what? You'll never see this again in your lifetime. Okay, Copper. Oh, gosh. When you leave home, Ari, you miss your... Well, I miss my wife, too, but I also miss my doggies. That's the story here. It's just going to be, insanely cold right now. 26. The average high is 62. Tomorrow morning in the low teens. Tomorrow afternoon, again, just above freezing. And then Thursday, well into the 40s. The sunshine will help tomorrow and certainly Thursday and Friday. But you've just got this solid, it's like plastic that's going to freeze up tonight. And it's all been packed down by what little traffic we've had. You can see all the way down the roadways as far as you can see. Not much traffic and no plows with 4+ inches and still snowing for another few hours. And then that'll be it. But the warning goes till midnight because of the impacts here along Interstate 10, which, by the way, is shut down here and shut down for most of Louisiana. They shut down the interstate this morning before sunrise. The overpasses, the flyovers, the ramps, just no way. And when I was on it before they closed, it was already snow covered. And they just don't have any way to keep it clean and keep it open. So it's better to close it down than to have a bunch of jackknife semis, and then you've got the whole issue of getting them out of the way.
No, you've got to respect that decision for sure. And, it's just such an interesting thing to see because normally when I see you doing a live shot in snow, there's some form of road that's visible somewhere. If it's farther up in the north and they've, had the plows out and everything, this is just such a unique thing to see, where you're standing in the middle of like what's a pretty busy road, it would appear, and it's just snow everywhere.
Yeah, look at this. Now, in the northern climes, they would have scraped, plowed, and salted, and we would have probably seen some pavement, concrete or asphalt, even though we'd have the same result tonight. Whatever's gone liquid would phase change and go back to ice. But yes, nothing has been touched here. The only thing that's come down the roads are vehicles, and even this section right here, look at this. We've had some blowing, a little bit of drifting, so you even lose the tire tracks here, and you got several inches of snow all the way up the street here. Oh, and this is the whole area,
It's absolutely fascinating to watch. Mike, fantastic job as always. And by the way, I just got a text from our brilliant behind-the-scenes meteorologist, Greg Diamond. He was saying New Orleans International is now reporting 1/16 of a mile visibility and 1 inch of snow in the last hour.
Wow.
Yeah, no joke.
And you said they officially have set their highest single-day, calendar day snowfall record?
Yeah, the previous record was
unofficial for now?
The previous record was just under 3 inches, and they did have an official report at the airport of 4 inches so far, but I think they're going to continue to shatter that record because there's more snow on the way over the next couple of hours, which is what I'm about to show people in this forecast here. Mike, have fun in the snow. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. Wow, really good. They did way better than Seidel. I don't know what kind of material he was trying to use. There was way too much friction, though. Mike, I know you took a little break not long ago. Were you actually just too cold, or were you looking for a cafeteria tray somewhere?
I tried that. I tried at the hotel. I searched for everything. I had that ceiling tile out here earlier, and that didn't work. I think I'm going to be skunked today. I don't have anything around that would, I mean, look at this hill here. It wouldn't take much. This is all compressed snow. It looks like plastic all the way down the hill. Now, you know what? It wouldn't take much to get down the hill. If I could just find something. I could go down on the seat of my pants, but I don't think I have enough grade there. If it was steeper, I would do that because I've got about 5 layers on. And let me try that. What do you think, Ari? By the way, 26 degrees
Mike.
right now. You're trying to kill me, aren't you? Hold on, let me see here. I don't want to break anything. No, it's not going to work.
We gave it a try.
No, it's not steep enough. But I'm going to work on it and try to find something. If not today, tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning before it gets a little slushy with the sunshine. We've had over 4 inches of snow, much like New Orleans. They haven't seen this much snow here since 1914. Their biggest storms were also back in the late 1895, I believe. There was a huge storm across southern Louisiana, and that's really the bellwether in this part of the world. But 4 inches and counting. It's going to wind down in a couple of hours. The skies will clear. The winds will be light. We don't have much wind here, so the wind chill is not really a factor. And tonight when we go down in the low teens, the wind chill may be a few degrees lower, but it really isn't going to factor in. It's just the fact that it's going to be cold, coldest since 1989. So nothing's melting, no plows. And here comes a big rig. You know, some of these big rigs are trying to figure out how to get around the I-10 closure and across the Mississippi. There is another bridge. I'm not even sure that's open, but the I-10 bridge is closed. I-10 is shut down. Sometimes, you know, you just have to pull over and give it a rest till tomorrow. Tomorrow things will start to loosen up through the afternoon and the evening, Ari, and we'll see how that all shakes out. But once again, one for the record books. Temperatures by Friday will be 50, and by Sunday we'll be back in the 60s, following the 78 we had last Saturday.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And I know overnight tonight, probably dropped down into the teens. I'm seeing some forecasts in the low teens for Baton Rouge, so that's definitely
Let's
refreeze.
watch this guy.
Check it out.
Let's see if this guy makes it.
Mike, I think you should just hang on to the back of the big rig.
Oh, you know. You've lost your mind. But
YOLO.
He's taking it nice and easy. Yeah, he's taking it nice and easy. Here comes another one. Nice and easy down this hill because it's solid ice. If he had hit his brakes, he would have slid and probably fishtailed. Here comes another truck carrying some serious weight here. So these trucks are heavy, and that helps too coming down the hill. Let's watch this guy and see how he makes it down the hill. But look at all the weight on the back, that payload he's carrying.
Putting these guys under some pressure. We've got them, the live shot as they're trying to come down the hill. Look at that.
Now, he's not going to slide, is he? Oh, my. Oh, he's sliding. Look how the front tire. Oh, he's sliding.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
He's got to go. No. Did he get to the side?
Yeah, he slid over to the left, but he would have hit that truck had he gone straight.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, he would have hit the end of that truck. So he turned to the left, and the light turned green. That also helped because if the light hadn't turned green, he probably would have hit the back end of the previous truck.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you, with all that weight, and this hill and it's solid ice, you just can't stop a big rig like that. And that's why they got I-10 closed, because you end up with a jackknifed tractor trailer, and then you've got the whole road shut down, even though it's shut down, but they don't want to have to deal with pulling big rigs off the interstate. They want to try to get this open, hopefully sometime later tomorrow.
I kind of feel like we should give some credit to that guy. That was an incredible like swerve toward the end. I mean, he made it right out of the way just in the nick of time. I thought for sure we were about to watch an accident, and I didn't know what that big rig that was in front was carrying. It looks like they almost worked together a little bit, didn't they?
Well, the green light, I'm not sure if the gentleman in the first rig was looking in his rearview mirror, but as soon as the light went green, he started moving as the guy hooked a left. So we had a little defensive driving and a help from the street light. But yes, if the light had stayed red, I think we would have had a little metal on metal here down here on Florida Street in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, it really goes to show how dangerous the road conditions are right now. It's just a different ball game here, Mike. You know, I know you've covered countless winter storms before. Can you explain just the difference in this far south compared to, let's say, a place like Omaha or Milwaukee or something like that, where they have better condition or a better setup, better infrastructure to take care of these roads?
Well, no plows, really no salt that I've seen in this area. I'm not saying there's none in the Baton Rouge area, but so none of this has been plowed. Up north, this would have been plowed and salted, and we would have seen bare pavement right now because of daylight. Now, everything would refreeze tonight, but with salt, that'll keep a lot of the slush from getting rock solid. And then tomorrow, 3 or 4 hours of sunshine, and the roads would just melt off. You would have solid pavement tomorrow, and everything would open right back up. So that's the big difference. We're going to have to wait for temperatures to come up and the sun to do the snow removal here in Louisiana. We don't have any other tools really at the ready to get this out of the way. So we got to get warmer air and sunshine. Otherwise, anywhere else, this would not really be a big deal. 4 inches of snow is not a big deal when you get into the Midwest or the Northeast.
Before I let you go, can I ask you a quick question here about the refreeze overnight? Can you explain what the consistency is like with this snow that's on the ground? So I would imagine it probably started kind of wet, maybe with a little bit of a mix, and of course it's been powder for several hours now. Is it this compressed powder that we're worried about freezing, or is there some wetness that's stuck under there? Like how does it work?
Well, everything around the road is just powder. We had a brief period of some wet snow, but basically this is all powder over here, you can see. This is all powder, and I'm going right down to the sidewalk here, so you can see the sidewalk.
Wow.
Now, you get down, I almost got enough to pack. But out here, the issue is the powder has been packed down by the cars, the trucks, the traffic. So it's been packed down, plus we've had a little, melting via the vehicles and the daylight. So now this is just like plastic, and it's solid, and this is going to take a long time to melt, because it's denser. And again, some of these streets, like the side street we've been on earlier, that street will not see any sunshine, not this time of the year. So they basically are gonna have snow and ice on that street into the weekend, until Saturday, when it gets back close to 60 and then in the 60s on Sunday. It doesn't melt very much tomorrow because temperatures are only gonna get a few degrees above freezing, and the sunny side of the street will have certainly an impact from the sunshine, but many areas you'll not see literally any melting tomorrow. And notice the sidewalks. Nobody shovels anything here because most people don't have shovels. So it's just let it melt. By Sunday, things should be, by Saturday afternoon, I think things will be much, much better here in Louisiana. But the next couple of days are going to be touch and go on anything that hasn't been treated and plowed, which is about everything in this area.
And I know you're a stats guy, Mike, so I wanted to update you. Greg Diamond, he sent another message. We're now up to 5 inches in New Orleans. So, yes, we've broken that previous record by over 2 inches now.
2.7.
Yeah, we got 1 inch in the last hour. And, 1 inch per hour snow rate this far south is nothing to gawk at. Snow depth of 5 inches. That's unbelievable. How much snow have you guys gotten in Baton Rouge, by the way?
About 4.5, and how often you get powder snow?
I know.
I mean, this is powder. This far south. Even many storms in D.C. or New York, you're right on the rain snow line, and it's like 31 or 32. Not all storms, but a lot of storms. The rain snow line is there, and it's just what we call a slop storm. But not here today. Boy, this is this is really incredible considering their average high is in the low 60s, and we're in the mid-20s.
You know what I was just thinking of, and we'll let you go after this, Mike, but now I'm actually kind of glad that you didn't grab onto the back of that first big rig. That could have gotten ugly in a hurry.
That's a good point. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the lawyers that would be involved with that?
Yeah, that was some interesting video to watch. Hey, maybe you can throw that snowball for us before you leave. We got to go to break here.
Okay. I'll try to put it in the trash can.
Get the people. No, I'm just...
A little slow.
I got
a lot of layers on.
That's okay. That's okay.
Little Michelin man.
It was a practice one. Mike, you've been fantastic today. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
Mike Seidel, one of the best in the business in Baton Rouge. All right, guys.
Storm specialist Mike Seidel live on the ground there now. Mike, you and I were talking about this yesterday, how we were saying the sweet spot, both sides of I-10 in Louisiana, and boy, has this lived up to that. This is an all-timer, truly.
Yes, it is. New Orleans has had their biggest snowfall, Ian, since 1947, and I think you have to go back to the 1890s to find anything any bigger. Here in Baton Rouge, 4 inches plus. We'll get the official later on, but that's the biggest one-day snowfall they've had here since 1914. And then you get over around Lafayette, Ian, and we've got totals, double-digit totals on off I-10. No wonder the interstate is shut down. And this is what they're seeing up here. And the difference on I-10, there's been no travel, no traffic. So we've had some traffic on these downtown streets, but what you have left is you see a little bit of pavement. This slush is going to freeze up very quickly once the sun goes down. We're still getting some radiation through the clouds, but no salt, no plows, and you can see this is a sheet of ice. We had 2 semis about an hour ago. One went down the hill and stopped at the red light. Another one came down the hill and started sliding, and he had to make certainly a defensive move and turn right to miss the truck. And I think the only reason he missed the truck in front of him is because the light went green and the gentleman turned left and got out of the way just in the nick of time. So it's very, very dangerous out here. Very little traffic, which is good. And this is why I-10 is closed. This is why they're saying just stay home and stay off the roadways, because nothing's going to change until tomorrow late morning, mid to late morning, as temperatures start to warm up, eventually above freezing. But it will be the sun, even though the sun angle is low this time of the year, but it is getting higher as we go through late January. It's going to help to start melting this off. Will it melt all of it? Yeah, probably not. And then it refreezes again tomorrow night. So by Thursday morning, we're down around 20 again. So tomorrow, again, schools are closed, businesses shutting down. Hopefully they'll get I-10 open tomorrow at some point. We'll see how that goes. But again, you've got few, if any, plows. You have no salting or melting component. So you really have to wait for the atmosphere. Now, granted, I-10 is wide open in most areas, so you're going to get the benefits of the sun. But temperatures at 36 or 37 don't allow a whole lot of melting when it comes to this time of the year. Oh, it's going to be a wait and see in on I-10. And just an amazing day to think that Baton Rouge and New Orleans and all these areas, Houston, could get this much accumulating snowfall. Around Beaumont, Port Arthur, we've had 6 to 8 inches of snow. You know, I've talked to people here, they've never even seen the ground white. And the last time it was white here was 2017. So that was 7 years ago. But it's just astounding. We talk about weather extremes, how things have changed with the climate. And this is an example of extreme weather. You get temperatures, the coldest they've seen in over 35 years, and then you get it mixed in with the moisture, and you get the snow. And the fact that the cold, dry air went so far south, it cut off the moisture from Atlanta and Birmingham and areas which would probably be more likely to get snowfall. They have, you know, they'll average a couple inches a winter. I mean, over 30 years, it doesn't snow every winter in those areas. But down here, they'll go many, many winters without even seeing a flake. So what just an incredible sight here at the home of LSU.
Mike, I mean, you said it. It's odd for folks in Atlanta to be watching a winter storm. They're waving, watching this thing go by well off to the south. But you spoke to the extreme nature of this. It's kind of a Goldilocks setup, right? This is really the only set of meteorological circumstances that could even produce something like what you're seeing there behind you.
Yeah, exactly. How often do you get cold air and moisture in the south, cold enough to snow? I remember even growing up on the Maryland-Delaware beaches. You know, we get all this cold air, but it would be dry. And then as the moisture came in, we'd probably get an hour of sleet, and then we'd get a big rainstorm. Meanwhile, back in D.C. and Baltimore, they had a couple snow days from school. So down here, yes, it does go below freezing, more than just a few mornings in the winter in Baton Rouge. But then it warms up in the afternoon. The average low and high right now are low 60s, low 40s. But to get the Arctic air in here and to get moisture, and without that warm nose aloft, which would produce sleet or freezing rain. So that was the saving grace for power. I looked earlier today, about an hour ago, and here in this parish here in Baton Rouge, only about 350 customers without power. So power outages have been very, very minimal. There was about 5,000 across the entire state of Louisiana. So that saved us. Powder snow versus freezing rain. Take the powder snow any day when you're talking about the potential for losing power.
Hey, all day, Mike, no question. Before we let you go, I'm just trying to reconcile in my brain here. Last year, Nashville far outperformed New York City for snow throughout the season. Lafayette, Louisiana is doubling us up for snow in New York City. Lafayette, Louisiana after this event. Whoa, thoughts on that?
Have we given up on New York City and the Northeast? I know it's only late January, but it just seems like I know it's going to happen again. We're going to get a big coastal, maybe this year. I mean, the sweet spot for big storms is usually third week of January till about the third week of February. That tends to be where you have your biggest East Coast, Northeast snowstorms. So we got a long way to go, but boy, I tell you, for snow lovers in New York City, it has been certainly just a real drought of snowfall. I was there last year on February 13th, had 3.5 inches of snow. Now, I know JFK and some areas south had a little bit more. And then there was that kind of surprise. Remember that Saturday morning, some of the suburbs in Jersey, south of Newark, had 8 to 10 inches. But it was not a widespread storm. So we'll see if we can get one. See if we can drum one up for I-95. I need a trip up to New York to see you guys.
Yes, sir.
I got to get back to see my Fox weather weenies.
You most certainly do. You're missed, but I'm glad you're getting to experience what we're seeing in your shot. It's amazing. That's Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel. Thank you.